Yeah, body's feeling good. I know it's a quick turnaround for both teams, so it's all just a race to recover, prepare, do all the right things, hydrate, get sleep, get treatment, and we know we have a game coming in a short turnaround. So, in that regard, we're doing a good job. Just trying to prepare, making sure everyone's ready to play. In terms of the turf, you're right. There's definitely a few MLS stadiums that have turf. Guys that have been in MLS have experience playing on turf. Some of the other guys, yeah, they probably haven't played on turf in a long time. But at the same time, it's equal conditions. Equal conditions for both teams. The ball should be still rolling pretty well. It's certainly a little bit different than grass, but it's just an adjustment that we're gonna go out there today, have training on the stadium field, and get used to it a little bit.
Next will be Grant Wall.
Hey, Walker. Were you the only U.S. player to wear short sleeves on Thursday? And what goes into that decision? And will you continue to do that even in these colder games here in Minnesota?
I think Chris Richards was as well. So the center backs definitely rocked the short sleeves. To be honest, I don't know what I'm going to do the next couple games. I just didn't think it was quite cold enough in Columbus. Felt pretty good. I know these games will be colder, so we'll have to kind of evaluate what it's like today in training and what it's like in warm-ups and kind of make the decision from there. But really nothing special to it, just kind of felt comfortable. I'd rather be a little bit cold than getting too hot with some Under Armour or anything like that. So that was kind of the only reason behind it.
Next will be Drake Hills from the Tennessean.
Yeah, what's up, Walker? Just wanted to ask you, just taking a look at how you've done the past, two qualifying windows, and maybe the conversation with Greg and look at the rest of the staff on your development path since the start of the qualifiers. What does that progression look like? Obviously, being in the camp in September and not necessarily playing, and then of course you've progressed into honestly being one of the pins back there for the national team. So I'm curious to know what that looked like. What did you need to do? What have you been focusing on to get to this point?
I think for me, it's always just been about staying ready. I felt like I was playing at a really good level last season with Nashville. Came into September, obviously hoping to get that opportunity. It didn't come. Stayed ready, finally got my chance. And then I think the biggest difference is just the trust and repetition and consistency that I've been able to have, that I think Greg feels with me now, having played in some big games, having performed well. So I'm just focused on training every day, competing. I know that I'll be competing in the games all the time, giving my all. So that part will take care of itself. And then just trying to be consistent, trying to be a leader back there, be solid, be organized, and kind of, not try and do anything that's too crazy. Just be solid and consistent. So that's what I've been trying to do. And, I think I'm earning some trust for sure.
We'll go to Sam Stayskull.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, Walker. Hope you're doing well. Obviously, Canada's not going to have Alphonso Davies tomorrow, but they still have plenty of attacking talent. Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, Tejan Buchanan, some others. Wanted to ask you about David and Larin in particular, as both of them kind of spent time playing at center forward and will be seeing, presumably, a lot of you. What do you see as their biggest attacking strengths, and what kind of things are you kind of keying in on to slow them down tomorrow?
Yeah, they've certainly been in good form. Jonathan David has been excelling this past year. Tejan, obviously, with his move away from New England. And Larin, we know him from time in MLS and abroad as well. So they're all guys that have a lot of quality, and they have a nose for the goal. They have a desire, as most number 9s do, to score goals, and they're good at it. So really it's just being organized is probably the first thing, communicating with your defensive line, all the cliches, but really just competing, going out there, making sure that physically we're taking it to them, making sure that they know that they're going to be in for a good fight and a tough game, and not giving them, too many touches where they aren't being consistently put under pressure.
Next will be Ryan Talmadge from Goal.com.
Hey, Walker. I just want to ask about, sort of the center back pairing. I think last year you played with 5 or 6 different guys, and it seems like you move in and things don't really change that much, but obviously there is some differences to playing with these guys. So when you're alongside a Mark or Chris or Miles, what kind of changes for you, and how do you kind of adapt to their games as you kind of get going?
It's always a little bit different playing with different center backs, but each of them have been amazing. They've had a lot of great qualities, and there is certainly different levels of communication, different little things that you take away from their game, angles that need to be created, the type of communication that you're giving, conversations even in the game about, plays that just happen, what you would do differently, how you guys can constantly be on the same page. So, I don't think my job changes too much based on who's playing next to me. It's just about being on the same page. And so you're going to have different conversations. And then, you probably know a little bit more of their tendencies and try and cater to those a little bit more. But, it's not that different in terms of my job and my responsibility on whenever that happens.
Next will be Ivis Galarcep from SBI Soccer.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Go ahead.
Oh, perfect. All right. Walker, first, you touched a little about some of their top attacking guys, and obviously their strikers get a lot of the headlines. But Tejan has come in and really kind of given them something unique, and is causing just all sorts of havoc. What makes him so tough to deal with? I mean, obviously you faced him in MLS. What makes him uniquely difficult to deal with? And as far as you personally and your kind of path, I mean, I remember going all the way back to the U20 days when you didn't make the U20 World Cup team. They used to be talking about your passing ability. Is it good enough? Obviously, you've evolved and gotten better. What kind of do you recall those days and those criticisms of your game? And what was the key for you to kind of improve those? I mean, did you take that to heart and work on that to make sure that your passing was no longer considered a weakness?
I think Tejan, the special thing about him is his 1v1 attacking ability. He goes at speed. He's very quick, very good with the ball at speed, and is able to get to the end line, cut inside, and that's whether that's crossing or shooting. He's very dynamic in the final third. So he certainly brings an element of attacking to Canada that they need, and he's certainly a big part of what they do offensively. In terms of progression as a player, and I think every year you're getting better at whatever it is, whatever category you want to talk about. So certainly passing. When Greg took over a couple years ago, his emphasis was a lot on breaking lines, finding balls into pockets, and so certainly that was an element of my game that I just tried to focus on at the club level, carry that into the national team level. And just try and continue to work on improving. And that's not just the passing part of the game, that's in every part of the game. So that's off-season work, that's extra work after training, and just trying to get better every day. So certainly pleased with the progress over the past couple of years, but job is nowhere near done. Not the final product of a player that I'm going to be, and certainly just on a path to try and become the best version of myself.
We'll go to Daniel Nora from Univision.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, Walker. How much has affected in the preparation of this game the fact that you can take the first spot of the group with a win? Is that a big part of the conversation?
Honestly, not too much. We talk a lot about one game at a time, and we are glad that we got the 3 points. We're excited about those 3 points, but I think pretty quickly we moved on, shifted our focus to this game, and about having a good performance in this game. And so, not talking too much about El Salvador and focusing ahead on Canada and trying to get to the top of the group.
Next will be Neil Davidson from the Canadian Press.
Thank you. Hi, Walker. Canada has risen up the ranks under John Herdman. I wonder what sort of tipped you up to their improvement. Was it watching the Canadians in MLS? I mean, obviously you had a close view of a youngster like Alistair Johnston. Or was it the Davies and Davids overseas? How have you seen their growth?
They've certainly improved a lot over the past couple of years, and you look at the shift of players of theirs that are playing in Europe, playing in top leagues and playing well. Certainly Alfonso at the top of that list. But, I think there's been a shift in their mentality, and they play with a chip on their shoulder. They play with something to prove, and they play with an intensity that is very high. And so they're a confident group. And so whenever you go out there, you know that they're going to compete and that you have to match that level of intensity and desire. And so I think that's something that John has brought to that group, and that's a strength of theirs. So we're going to have to be up for it.
Next will be Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks, Walker, for the time. A lot of these World Cup qualifying games are defensive slogs, low scoring, both teams being cautious a lot of times, as we saw with El Salvador, the other team being a bit defensive, knowing the skill that you guys have up top. But this game might be a track meet because Canada likes to dial it up like that. And I wonder for all you guys, especially you as a center back, what it's like to go from a quick change in the course of 3 days from one style of game to another style of game.
I think, the preparation is key, and knowing, tactically what you're looking to do as a team, how that changes based on who you play, how that changes based on who's in the lineup. And so I think the preparation is key. We're going to have a really good run through today, focusing on those exact things and the differences that we might see from Canada than we did against El Salvador, and how we make adjustments to that. So, yeah, it does change. It does change pretty regularly, but that's something that we're used to. It changes at the club level as well with every game, little tweaks here and there. Not necessarily your identity, but because of the opposition, you need to be aware of certain things that they do best. So, not dissimilar to that. We're going to be focused on things that they do differently than El Salvador, and make sure we're ready for that.
Next will be Andrew Jones from Spotify.
Thank you, Michael. Walker, can you talk about first the relationship that you may have had with Alistair Johnson when you played with him last season, as well as the bond that you've had with Kellen Acosta since 2013, calling him your day one brother, and as well as how the birth of your son took last in June, and how that shaped you as a person with you and your wife, and how you've been able to grow in that incredible bond.
Yeah, Alistair came in from day one when he got drafted, and he wasn't signed yet. And so he was in preseason. He was just constantly working hard, showed up fit, showed up in shape, and really just an all-around hard worker. Good guy. Got pretty close with him, obviously just from playing on the right side, but also we played some video games together, shared some communication tactics that way as well. But really happy for him and his progression and the way that he played at Nashville the first 2 years, and then took advantage of his opportunity with Canada. So really proud of him. Glad that he's excelling in his career and has moved on to Montreal. So obviously wish him the best. Kellen, again, another guy who came in same year that I did into the league and had been around the Dallas Academy for a while. And to see his growth as not even on the playing side, but as a person, has been really fun to watch. And his maturity and even his game evolve as well. Just has turned into an awesome guy. Super supportive, super hardworking, and one of those guys that anytime he steps on the field is going to go out and compete. And so again, utmost respect for Kellen and his game, and also the way that he carries himself on a personal level. He's just really matured a lot since we started back when he was a little skinny young guy. So happy for him and his development as well. In terms of Tucker, my family is everything to me. They, it's not easy. We're gone for months at a time, and for them to stay home and have that bond and support, it makes it easier to go away knowing that that they're taking care of each other at home. So Sally's, my rock. She does a great job with Tucker, and I think even as he's getting older, each and every week, I'm, even though I'm apart from him, I'm still feeling like I'm growing closer to him, loving him even more every day. So actually on this trip was missing him, and got my wife to get a camera for the crib that I could look in on while he's napping and say goodnight to him, even though he, can't really hear me or anything. So it's tough being away, but certainly that's been a big addition into my life, and I think it's helping change me for the better. And so I can't wait for him to grow up and be able to watch these games and remember these games, and hopefully, myself and our country will be making him proud.